Now for the track guide. Before starting, if you want to improve at a quicker pace, check out GITGUDRacing.com. I have a lot of courses that I can help you with. Now going into this track guide itself, for turn 1, reference for braking will be this 100 board on the left side. You want to brake slightly before it, so at this point in time we're already dropping the throttle. Also, make sure you're braking on this white line with your left tires. Super important, this is a critical corner in the lap, so you want to be maximizing the radius into the corner so that you can get a better exit. A better exit will mean even 1/10 will make a huge difference because it will get amplified 10 times by the end of the straight. So use all this space right here. Notice that you can cut a little bit the grass under braking and still gonna be fine. And also brake hard, 90% pressure, going into second gear. You want to be turning into this corner and looking at this yellow part on the curb because you don't want to touch initially on the red. You want to touch it more towards the yellow part of this curb. So if you can cut it just like this, it will be perfect because you'll take a late apex. A late apex means that you're going to be able to hold the throttle confidently. And also notice that we're pressing the throttle when we're hitting this dip. This is also important because the earlier you're going to be here on the throttle, the more time you're going to gain. But it's important to be early on throttle and maintain it like this, not to have to drop it. Because if you're going to be apexing earlier, you will have to drop it, you see. So make sure you judge this corner by how hard and confident you press the throttle, how early you press the throttle without going wide, just like this. Using all the space here, of course. And now we head towards Eau Rouge Radion, which is not flat out with this car. It's a bit tricky. I will give you all the points to, squeeze a lot of lap time out of this. So the first thing that you have to do, besides obviously get all the way to the right side near the wall, is to put your vision on this green part of the curb here, because you want to cut just like this. This is super, super important. If you're not cutting like this, you will have a hard time going up towards this corner because you will have to wait more before pressing the throttle. Otherwise, you will get the penalty or the off track. So make sure you're cutting a lot just like this. You can have your left tires close to the grass and it's still not going to be an off track. Then you want to keep the car straight. So notice that we are flat out right now. But once we get off the curb, you want to drop the throttle and you want to start to steer. So you're doing the most amount of steering or the initial amount of steering when you get off the curb. And then you will steer more and more, obviously, with 0% on the throttle. It's just a throttle lift. Don't add the brakes in, even though in the first laps you might have to do it. When the tires are warmed up, you don't need to add the brakes. It will just slow it down, or you will just overheat the tires unnecessarily. So now you just gonna wait up until you get up the hill towards this part of the curb on the white line, and you can cut the curb with your right tires just like this, pressing the throttle before you're hitting the right tires. Cutting this part of the hill, also important because you want to minimize the steering that you're doing when you're going uphill to avoid scrubbing speed, and that's it, you see. And of course this was done with the fixed setup, but if you want to go even faster, maybe in different cars, I highly encourage you to check Go Setups out. They have amazingly quick setups, and they also have a 10% discount code here on the channel. Link will be in the video description. But continuing with this track guide, for the next corner, reference for braking will be this little dirt on the grass. You see here, this one. When you see this, you're going to be applying the brake, so it's way before the curb. Going to be braking quite hard once again, 90% pressure, close to 100, and you want to use this curb. Use it all the way towards the left side. It will allow you to open the corner more, and then in third gear, cutting this green part all the way through. Super important. The moment that you get close to exiting the curb, so to speak, that's the moment that you're going to be pressing the throttle. Try to get around 80 to 100% throttle. 100% throttle will be quite hard to push, but if you get around 80 and then dropping the throttle when you're turning, that's going to be enough because we will generate a lot of weight transfer, pushing the weight from the rear to the back. The nose will dip down when you're doing this aggressive throttle drop. So that's why it's important to go as high as you can on the throttle, because the weight transfer that you're doing from 80 to 0, obviously it's going to be bigger than from 50 to 0. So you get a lot more turn in, but at the same time you also keep that minimum speed up towards this sequence of the track. So double advantage if you're doing it. You want to cut this part on the curb, so this curb should be basically in the middle of the car. Pressing the throttle once again, the car should be in the center left. So not all the way towards the left, but not in the center as well. pressing it towards this white line. You can even cut a little bit this curb, it's going to be fine. And then for this corner, just do a throttle drop. That's it, a throttle drop. And then you push the throttle before hitting the curb. Go completely over this green curb, super important. So don't half-ass it. Try to take as much curb as you can here, and same here, all the way to the gravel. Now, this downhill braking zone can be quite tricky. You're going to be braking before the curb, and you want to brake and still hold the brake quite a lot. So still on the brake, still on the brake, still on the brake, still on the brake, in third gear, don't go to second. Second can work, but third will be a little bit faster. And then very late in the corner, you're going to be pressing the throttle. We have a small mistake here. You see a hesitation on the throttle. Ideally, you want to press the throttle just once. But if you notice that you press it too early, there's no shame in just going back, because otherwise you will just go wide and you will lose in the next corner. The idea of this long sweeper right-hander is to position yourself for the next one, for this left-hander actually. This is the one that matters because it leads to a bigger straight. Notice that this straight from this corner here to the next one is so small that it doesn't really matter the exit as much in terms of, you know, being early on the gas and pushing speed. However, it matters the position that you get, because if you get all the way towards the left side, you don't have enough time to bring it to the right side. You will overheat the tires more and you'll have less grip. So make sure you're not going here all the way to the white line. Stay in the center left, and then bring the cars towards the right side. The moment that you touch this curb, that's the moment that you're going to be braking. Keep it in fourth gear, but add a little bit more brakes so that the car will turn in. Take a late apex, even exploit the curb better that we did here. You can cut a little bit more this red sausage curb, and then press the throttle aggressively. And that's your run towards Puon. Now, Puon will be quite difficult. So first of all, reference for braking, you're going to be looking at the 50. When the 50 is very close to the A pillar, here you're going to start to brake. Now, braking here will be quite harder than in GT3 cars, for example. So you can go to 60, even 65 pressure, and in fifth gear you'll go to fourth quite late when you get close to the curb, and then trail brake. The moment that the car fades away from the white line, that's the moment that you're going to be pressing the throttle. Now, super important, don't downshift very quickly here. You can lose the car easily. So go to fifth, and then wait, and then go to fourth. And you will get a lot of rotation with that fourth gear, by the way. So you should be expecting a little bit of oversteer. Now, what you're seeing here is a throttle lift on your way out of the corner. That's perfectly fine, because this car has a lot of horsepower, doesn't have a lot of downforce, so it's going to be quite tough to keep it flat. So it's going to be impossible to keep it flat without taking the off track, so we have to do a throttle lift. Now for this corner around here, you're going to be braking before the 50 or before this big banner in front of you. You're going to be braking in sixth gear, going to fourth eventually, and then as this corner progresses, you're going to be in third gear. What's important around here is to be on brake up until you get to this green part. So up until you see the green part of the curb, you should be still holding the brakes engaged. You don't want to just, press the throttle earlier. It's going to be pushing you wide. So keep the brakes engaged up until you see the green. Push the throttle once again, and for this corner, a little bit of brake, and then pushing the throttle. You can cut this curb. It's going to be fine. So you can even exploit the curb a little bit more than we did here. Now we're heading towards the last sector, and this is very important corner. You're going to be braking before positioning yourself on the curb. You're going to be braking towards the curb basically, then positioning on it, going into third gear, and then trailing in lower percentages. Don't brake very hard while you're turning here. You will get a lot of understeer. So you see we're maintaining 6% on the brakes, and then we're pressing the throttle on our way out of the corner, keeping the throttle pinned. You're going to be turning, dropping the throttle exactly when you're turning, and then put it back on. Make sure you're doing this throttle drop without the brake, so that the car will have just enough turn in, but not slowing down to the point that you just lose minimum speed. Now this left-hander once again is not flat, so you have to do the throttle. You can turn quite early in it. You see you're apexing at the beginning of the curb, and then pushing the throttle back. And now we're heading towards the last corner. Before the white line, you're going to be braking and very, very hard on the brakes, close to 100%. Use this part of the curb. You will be in second gear. Get a very late apex here. Press the throttle just once you go uphill. Don't press it while you're still cornering. So you want to minimize the steering when you're pressing the throttle here. Go as close as you can to 100% to emphasize the weight transfer, and then add a little dab on the brakes. Should be taking a very late apex here on the yellow part of the curb. And in short, that's the lap. So I hope you like it. I hope you enjoy it. And if you want to improve at a quicker pace, GitGUDRacing.com, go setups, and I'm looking forward to see you in the next one. Bye bye.